It's the early game of the year in North Dakota nine-man football. We'll preview that in southeastern North Dakota today. Plus, a big wedding for a Bison standout. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to the Almost Did It edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in western South Dakota, and Inforum.com. Happy Hump Day, everybody. It is Wednesday. The back end of September begins today, September the 17th, 2025. Morning, welcome to Hot Mike. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Hope you're enjoying your start to your Wednesday. It has to be better than any Viking fan because we're only waiting for news of more injuries and guys to drop. Monday was J.J. McCarthy. Yesterday, Aaron Jones, running back, out. Who else? We haven't seen Darisaw play yet. That's not good. Their left tackle and center both were concussed in the game on Sunday. It shows you how fragile football is when things can go well like they did last year for Minnesota and stayed healthy and were racking up wins and playing great. And so far they've had one good quarter out of 8. And you got guys dropping here left and right. The only solace is that the Bengals are also beat up. As Joe Burrow will not play, we know that, as they've turned to former Viking great Jake Browning as their guy. I believe Browning talked some smack after the Bengals beat the Vikings in Cincinnati a couple years ago. That game was a Saturday game. The only reason I remember it is the Bison played Montana that day. We were out in Missoula for the semifinal, and the Vikes were basically out of it. I believe that was Nick Mullins. Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that Nick Mullins starting that game? I think it was for Minnesota. Either way, the Vikes were clinging to some sort of playoff positioning there, and Browning was, let's just say he was excited to beat the Vikings because Minnesota had let him go under Mike Zimmer. It wasn't under KOC, had nothing to do with it, but people have a long memory on that stuff, so yeah, I think Kyle's, I think the Bengals let him go, and now he's back. So the rematch comes up on Sunday, but it is a tough deal right now. And again, there's the talk out there that this is a quote-unquote a shadow benching by O'Connell, that he vehemently denied it. And again, I don't know what you're going to say. He was asked this in the press conference Monday that, no, McCarthy is legitimately hurt. I don't know what else he would say. They want him to play. They want him to get out there. I just don't imagine that this is what they want. And I said this when he signed in August. If Carson Wentz is playing, that's not a good sign for the Minnesota Vikings. Means something went wrong. And obviously it did. McCarthy got hurt. That's no slight to Carson. Even he has not played well. We had the stat sent to us yesterday that the last 6 games he started in games that mattered, he'd lost them all. He's got a chance to rewrite a lot of things, does Carson Wentz. And I'll save this for later in the week once we get closer to our game picks and stuff like that. But I'll stand by what I said. If Wentz is playing meaningful reps, it's not good for the Vikings. And here we are before a back-to-back games overseas with the Steelers and the Browns. I don't think we see JJ for a bit here. I don't. I mean, Schefter's report, which no one has disputed, is 2 to 4 weeks, then he may not be back. I think after the bye, the Vikes have the Eagles. I don't know if that's the team you want McCarthy coming back for either, but you got to play him. If this is not where they wanted to be, just flat out, period, end of story. More on that coming up later on in the show. The Twins are forcing their way back into the rundown again this morning. And it wasn't going to happen at about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night. It was done. I don't blame you if you were a diehard and watching them. More power to you. But it was 10-1 at one point last night. They were not in the rundown at 8 o'clock. And then something happened in the final few innings of this one. That's a cool shot, by the way. I wanted to show that at Target Field. Not a great night for our guy, Zebby Matthews. It started off rough to begin with. Cody Bellinger with an RBI hit. Start of a hit parade for the Yankees. They go up 2-1. It's a save score here in the second inning. I don't know. Austin Wells, I don't know if he got enough of that one. Hammered. That's nearly a home run. That goes for a double. Anthony Volpe missed it by inches of a home run. Makes it a 3-1 score. Trent Grisham will come up here with a man on. That ball, yeah, he got that one. 391-foot blast to right. 2-run homer. It's 5-1 Yankees. They kept it going. Again, Zebby just getting bludgeoned out here. Whenever Stanton swings, it seems like he's got a toothpick in his hands because he's such a big dude. Opposite field hit. That scores Aaron Judge. It's 6-1. Now it's 8-1. Zebby is still in the game. Like, Rocco, what are we doing? Another hit. 9-1 in favor of the Yankees. Matthews' ERA will never recover after last night. Finally, he's out of the game, but the Yankees are still hitting. That's Anthony Volpe with a base hit. It's 10-1 New York in the fourth inning, right? All right, full stop. Dunzo. Game over. Yankees are going to, after only getting 2 hits on Monday. Well, a funny thing happened after that. The Twins put a rally together. Kyle's guy, James Outman, with a 2-run blast. That is a shot. 443 feet. All right, it's 10-3. My guy, Ryan Fitzgerald and James Outman look the same. Put a 2-shot next to him. That's a home run. Wait a minute. Now it's 10-7. Dad's guy, Aaron Boone, loving it. After a Trevor Larnach sac fly, it's 10-8. Larnach, bottom of the ninth. Home run. Don't go anywhere, folks. It's 10-9. Royce Lewis is the last chance for Minnesota with 2 on, 2 out. And he strikes out and ends the game. And the Yankees needed every single run to win it. 10-9, the final score. Look at that line from Zebby Matthews. 3 innings, 11 hits, 9 runs. They were all earned. ERA jumps to 5.97. I got to look quick here. But what was his ERA going into the game? Let's get the game log here because it was not 5.06 to 5.97 after yesterday. Yikes. Our guy Cam Schlittler was the starter for the Yankees. 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs. He ends up getting a no decision in this one. Crazy game. Series tied at a game apiece. They'll wrap it up tonight at Target Field. Taj Bradley, Luis Heel will be pitching for New York. Real quick, by the way, attendance-wise, at least tickets sold, 25,500. I watched just a little bit of it, and the Yankee fans were there. I don't know how many Twins fans were there, but the Yankees were certainly supported last night. At some point, don't you get your guy out of the game? He's getting his brains beat in. I mean, I don't know who else the Twins would throw out there. That's the point. But Yankees need those wins. They're in the wild card race trying to make sure they fend off Boston so they can host in the opening round of the wild card. If you were not watching that, like I mentioned before, I've strongly encouraged to watch some hoops because we're in the playoffs now of the WNBA. The Lynx play tonight. I already see I got the super wrong on this, Kyle. Hopefully you picked that up. The Storm beat the Aces last night. Seattle and Vegas played last night. Quick backstory, thank you. last night, Vegas came in winners of 17 games in a row. The first round is best of 3, but they changed the format. So instead of the home team, the higher seed, getting the first 2 games at home, now it goes 1-1-1 like it should have. And last night in Seattle, it was a dynamite game. A'ja Wilson, who is maybe the front runner to win the MVP. I thought it was Nafisa Collier all year long for Minnesota, but since she's been rolling and the Aces haven't lost since they lost by 50 to the Lynx, she's been unstoppable. Here we pick it up in the fourth quarter. Little and one from Wilson to put Vegas up by 12. Skylar Diggins then took over for Seattle. Hits a 3. Stormer down 6. Same score. Erica Wheeler open in the corner. Knocks down a 3. Now it's a 3-point game. It's 79-76. 2 minutes to go. Jackie Young, little up and under. Hits the free throw. They bail up a 5-point lead. It's 83-81. Diggins gets it up. Dominique Malonga is running the floor and one. Tied at 83. She makes the free throw. Now Seattle leads it 84-83. Critical play here on a turnover. Chelsea Gray trying to get it to Jackie Young. Turns it over. It's Seattle ball. Diggins then with the dagger puts Seattle up 3, 86-83. All right. Aces have one last chance with 4 seconds to go. They get a 3 from Jewel Lloyd. That's off the mark. And Seattle wins it 86-83 to tie the series at a game apiece. More importantly, the Aces lose for the first time in a month and a half. They had won 17 in a row. So, the updated bracket now. Vegas and Seattle are tied at a game apiece. Indiana won last night to beat Atlanta. That series is tied, so they'll go the distance. Those games coming up on Thursday. The Lynx can eliminate Golden State tonight on the road with a win. If they lose, they got to come back to Target Center to play Game 3 on Friday. And the other series with New York and Phoenix, the Liberty lead that 1 game to none. Remember, Breanna Stewart got hurt in that first game for New York. Her status up in the air. Granted, she missed a bunch of time as well. So we'll see. But some good basketball. I'm telling you, if you stayed up, you enjoyed that one last night. Good one in Seattle. Some dynamite players. Skylar Diggins was a great player at Notre Dame. You know, you get all the current iteration, A'ja Wilson, who was dominant South Carolina. And obviously we talked about Beckers yesterday. And Collier played at UConn. Stewart was a Connecticut player. Just, you look around, you can see all these players were dominant players in college. It's fun to watch. And we'll see what happens coming up tonight for the Lynx if they can move on to the semifinals. The next round goes best of 5, and then if you win that, the championship series, as I mentioned, is now best of 7. We have a packed show coming up for you. Don't forget, it's Bison Media Zone Wednesday. Our guy Sam Getzinger will be co-hosting me today. We're going to go over a few of the Bison players that have stood out through the first 3 weeks, revisit our picks to click that we had in our preview show, see if we've been right or wrong so far. That's coming up at 10:30. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton will be here in just a minute. Can slam dunk some Seattle Mariners celebration. Mariners are playing well. Cal Raleigh is historic for what he did last night. We'll chat about that and a couple other topics coming up in a few minutes. At 9:35, we'll welcome back friend of the show, Jason Monilaws, Hankinson head football coach. The Pirates have a biggie on Friday night, taking on Lemoore Litchfield Marion. Both unbeaten, the Pirates are, and the Lobos. It was also a big weekend for Jason. He picked up his 100th career win on Friday night. We'll chat with him about that coming up at 9:35. And at 10 o'clock, excited to welcome on Chris Heise to the show. Many fans in the area know Chris as a longtime official in the area, which I'm going to talk about. He also, this week, is father of the bride. His daughter, Mariah, is marrying one Logan Kopp of the North Dakota State football team on Saturday during the Bison bye week. This has become tradition. We've had this over the last handful of years. Cole Wisniewski did this a few years back. James Kaiser did it a few years back. And now Kopp will do it. So he's the father of the bride. We'll visit with him about that coming up at 10 o'clock. Looking forward to that. That and a bunch more here on a busy Wednesday. We'll take our first break. We are off and rolling Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
My whole timeline's been thrown off. Did you know they're making a reboot of Anaconda?
No.
The Jennifer Lopez, John Voight classic?
Yeah, from 1990.
It was like 97. I think it was 97.
Like no.
With Jack Black and Paul Rudd. That can't be good.
I mean, like, you know that
The
it's
original's
definitely
not
a
good.
comedy. I mean, is that the like conceit of the whole thing?
Yeah,
Is that
Jack
it's a
Black
dumb
and Paul
concept?
Rudd bite off more than they can chew in the trailer for Sony's comedy reboot of Anaconda.
Gotcha.
Reimagining of the 1997 horror film for Sony hits theaters on Christmas Day.
You know what?
Christmas Day!
I'll wait till that one goes to streamer, but I'm not going to pretend I'll probably watch it.
I'm pretty sure I
Saturday.
saw the original. The original is bad.
Yeah, it is.
With
it's
a
like
capital B.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, like all the that was very like early special effects. I think to steal a line from Jurassic Park, which made all of those like special effects possible, like they could do it.
Yeah.
but they didn't stop to ask if they
should do it. Correct. It's great to have you ever always, but especially when we got big Mariner news.
Yeah.
Last night,
I
history
know.
made in Kansas City by one Cal Raleigh broke a record held by Mickey Mantle. Which, anytime you break a record held by Mickey Mantle or someone of that ilk, that is a big deal. Last night, he hit his 55th and then 56 home runs, which breaks the switch hitting record in baseball history.
Yeah, and it also matched his 56th home run. Also matched the franchise record set by Ken Griffey Jr.
I think he got all of that one.
Yeah.
And the best part,
well, actually, I think his second home run, the 56, is actually the more impressive one because he goes dead center and just crushes it.
are those their typical road uniforms? So they should be.
No, they
have to be.
They brought those back like 4 or 5 years ago.
I love them.
I do too, and they wore them on Friday nights at home.
Yeah.
That was their Friday night jersey, and they've been working him into the rotation a lot more often, and I like that teal color too. I almost wish they brought back the 1990s teal hats with them. With
Here's
the
the
blue
second
brim.
one.
This one just
that
he
is
just
mashed
crushes
to
it.
center.
Yeah, I mean,
So he's the MVP, right? I thought Judge was for a long time,
yeah.
but I think Cal Raleigh is going to be the American League MVP.
I
and the
mean,
Mariners are winning their division.
Yeah, and they've won 10 straight here. I mean, if they stay hot heading into it and they somehow overtake Detroit or they win the West, that would be the first time in 24 years they've won the division. And he's playing the toughest position in baseball. He's
playing catcher
in
right?
sports. You know, a lot of people think in sports, and he's calling the games. He's caught something like 17,000 pitches this year. I mean, you know, and to do what he's doing offensively on top of that, I think Twins fans have a good, you know, appreciation for that, having Mauer, you know, behind the plate for so many years.
Obviously, I think for a lot of people, we talked about this in July. He was introduced to a lot of people what he did at the All-Star game at the Home Run Derby.
Won the Home Run Derby.
And then this, I mean,
this is an incredible season. I texted my dad and my brothers after he hit 55 last night, and I kind of openly mused if the Mariners were to somehow win the division and make a deep playoff run. I don't even think they have to make it to the World Series, but make a deep playoff run. Where does Cal Raleigh get bumped up to in terms of like all-time franchise icons? Because they've never made it to a World Series. You have good and they've had at certain positions arguably some of the best players of all time. You know, you have Edgar Martinez at DH,
who's in the Hall of Fame.
The season award's named after the guy. You have Ken Griffey Jr.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, had he not been injured, you know, in key parts of his career, I think
Could be considered the greatest baseball player of all time.
I think so.
Yep.
Ichiro Suzuki, who had he played the entirety of his career in the MLB, I think could be remembered as the greatest hitter of all time. So
I would include Alex Rodriguez. I would as well. I know whatever happened, but his years in Seattle
were
steroid use,
unbelievable,
dynamite.
Yeah, you know, and he's not a beloved sports figure there.
I understand that.
And I think there's a difference between like the greatest players in franchise history and the most
what the
beloved.
fan reaction is to said player.
And and we all kind of came to the consensus that after the end of this season, he could be top 5 because he's already had
Randy Johnson
people
we
think
didn't even
about-
mention either.
Yeah, Felix Hernandez, Randy Johnson, Jay Buhner.
How do they
you know,
never
there's-
won? Seattle's had great
know.
players.
Yeah.
My
and-
guy Jay Buhner.
you know, and you look at that.
Brett Boone, your guy.
Brett Boone, my guy. Yeah, I did like his 2001 season quite
Yes.
a bit.
That was enhanced, I believe.
Yeah. But you look at what he's been for that franchise. He just signed a 6-year extension. He was the guy who broke the playoff drought. He hit the home run that put them in the playoffs, and then he
that's right.
just almost single-handedly beat the Blue Jays in the series that they played against them. And he already had a legacy with that franchise. So I think at the end of this year, depending on what happens, he could be catapulted into the top 5. If he wins a World Series for that franchise, he's right up there with I think Edgar Martinez is probably the most beloved franchise figure, even though Griffey's more prolific.
Yeah.
And Griffey's my favorite player of all time. And I'm not sure.
Edgar was mine. I love watching
Edgar's
Edgar
so
Martinez.
cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't know. Like, I think if Cal wins a World Series, he could eclipse those guys. I think.
By the way, Dominic Canzone got left in the.
Yeah, I know.
He went 5 for 5 and hit 3 home runs.
There've only
and
been,
Raleigh did all that last
12
night.
players in
Come
franchise history to hit 3 home runs in a game, and he Dominic Canzone.
It's all right.
Who knew? Yeah.
Mariners are a half game ahead of you. They've won 10. How many won? 12 in a row now?
10 in a row. Yeah.
And just a half game ahead of the Astros.
And it's been so tight. You know, and that's
That's
because
fun, man.
the Mariners
That's what
have
you
been
want.
extremely streaky, and so I'm also like extremely scared that they're peaking at this point, and they're gonna limp into the playoffs and
you know what
get
though?
destroyed.
This is when I was mentioning this on Monday's show when we showed the standings of where everything's at. If you're a baseball fan of a team that's in it, like yours is, mine is fighting for its playoff. This is awesome. It's gut wrenching every night, but every single night it's like. You know, you're on the edge of your seat. Like the Mets went and finally beat the Padres last night. Okay, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Like your team has won 10 in a row, a half game. It's fun. As Kyle mentioned, one of the playoffs. Like the Twins are clinging to the fact they came back from a 10-1 deficit last night to make it fun.
It just feels like such alien territory for the Mariners to be relevant in September.
So you got the Astros this weekend at Houston.
That's going to decide the division.
That's right. That's
I
it.
mean,
but
that's
then
the whole ball game.
You got the Rockies.
That's
I mean,
winnable.
that's 3 with Colorado, and then end the season with the Dodgers, which is not great. Coming in, and LA's might be fighting for stuff there too.
Yeah, I mean, but that's going to keep, in my mind, that keeps the Mariners sharp because they
Ohtani
can't
coming to
rest on
Seattle
their-
is going to be crazy.
Yeah, especially if the Mariners are fighting for the West. I mean, Ohtani, there's such a huge Japanese culture in Seattle that will bring. It always does. Like the Ohtani show is just incredible.
And Ohtani last night became the first to hit 50 home runs and strike out 50 guys in a season. So he's had a second straight 50-50 year. Last year was 50 homers, 50 stolen bases. This year, 50 home runs and 50 strikeouts.
He's just, I mean, he is one of a kind, truly unique and a unicorn.
All right, so what do we take out of we talked plenty on the UND side of things of the game Saturday. Obviously, you're a big Grizz supporter fan.
Yes,
What do we take out of Montana's comeback? Because they did not lead that game until the touchdown late to win it.
It was a gritty performance. And last week when I was on your show, I said, if UND, I was practically picking an upset there, and I know they were a very popular upset.
Actually, that gained some momentum after Wednesday.
Totally. I won't take credit for that. I think that's just people with eyeballs. But my takeaway as a Montana fan was it was a gritty performance because I said heading in, if UND contains Eli Gilman, he got 82 yards on the ground, but it didn't feel like it.
No.
They weren't big, impactful runs. And if they took, Worthman out of the game, Montana doesn't have a lot to stand on. Who knew about Brooks Davis, who's a freshman coming in? He had 92 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And Kali'i Ayat was able to kind of like pull it together at the end of the game.
Yep.
And that was gritty. And so as a Montana fan, I was like, ooh, there's potential here. And a lot of what I'm hearing online, and I think is way overblown from the Grizz fan base, is this is how 2023 started. We had an unknown quantity, really inconsistent quarterback play. We didn't know who was going to step up on the offense. A lot of question marks at defense. And over the course of the season, they started gelling. And by the time they hit the playoffs, that's when they became kind of dangerous. But even heading into that Brawl of the Wild game in 2023, there were so many. Everyone was like, the Grizz could get blown out in this game. The Grizz could be an early playoff exit. And they squeaked through the first couple rounds of the playoffs before really finding their rhythm and ultimately being able to beat NDSU at home because they had turned that Washington Grizzly environment into a real factor at that point. But I don't think that that's likely to happen this year. I think there's a very clear-cut tier 1 now that's developing in FCS football, in my opinion. And there's then everybody else. There's the, and I don't know what to make of Tarleton, like, at all.
Yeah. Tarleton's win over Army gives me some credit to that. Like, they got an FBS win to them. Their league is good. That league is better than I think people will probably give it credit for, because I think there's 3 playoff teams out of the United with them. Abilene's probably going to make it. Austin Peay's probably going to make it as well. Don't look at West Georgia is not eligible, but they will be soon.
Yeah.
They're good. So I'll give some credit. They're not with the Jacks and the Bison.
Nope. And I don't think.
But I think they're
is.
the next. I think they're the next tier down.
Yeah, I do.
I think
too.
that's where Tarleton is with Montana State and probably Montana.
Yep. And I just don't know. Of those schools, like who, bunch into that semifinal area. And I'm not sure Montana's there either yet.
They have a schedule to take advantage of that, though. They have Indiana State this weekend in
the
Missoula.
big game that I'm circling. It's like, if you want to show me you are in that second tier, Idaho is that game.
Idaho comes up.
That's gonna be the game
next Saturday, which is kind of a showdown Saturday with South Dakota. Well, we thought it was going to be with South Dakota NDSU. I don't know what to make of the Coyotes, but that night, Idaho Montana play on ESPN2
that'll be
at
fun.
like 9 o'clock, which is perfect for us out here. That we get to see the end of that game. But you're right, because Idaho is in there as well, knowing what they lost, and they're still in the mix. I think in the Big Sky.
Yes, totally, and that should settle some things, and then I think we'll have a pretty clear idea, heading into league play for most of this season, where the Big Sky ranks and where they kind of fill in.
I think everybody's going to get their pound of flesh with Sac State. I really believe that. I don't think they're any good.
No,
I think everybody's going to take their shots at them when they get a chance
there's
to.
Plenty of bulletin board material there all year, and they did it to themselves. And I just that continues to be shocking to me how they turn themselves into the villains of the FCS when
their president goes and says what he does. That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also equally shocking to me just how over time NDSU hasn't developed into the villain of the FCS. And I think it's because
certain fan bases.
They're
I
just
think
so dominant that it's like losing to them is almost just like, well, I mean, what are you going to do? And they just haven't turned into that villain.
Last thing before we go, email comes in to ask Drew, is Northern Colorado good? ? Northern Colorado scared the heck out of USD.
Yeah.
They scared the heck out of Colorado State. Frankly, they should have beaten Colorado State. Frankly, they should have beaten South Dakota.
Yeah. But I don't, again, like you said, like we don't know what to make of South Dakota.
So is Northern Colorado good?
Here's the thing. I don't think they're the basement dweller of the Big Sky anymore.
Well, Portland State has got that by a long shot.
And so it's like, where do they fall? I don't know. I don't think that's
Northern
a good
Colorado.
question. I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I have some friends who work in media in the Big Sky Conference, and they're all convinced that they're coming, like there's something there.
Okay.
But it's not like, I don't think anybody is taking them as a contender for the Big Sky, or I'm not even sure if they would say they're like a playoff team.
Well, they play all the heavy hitters outside of Montana this year because they play the Cats, they play Davis, they play Idaho, and I'll throw Sac State in there.
They're frisky enough to be dangerous. That's what I think that they're going to be. They're going to be a fun watch. UND, by the way, like just have to throw it out there. They were the better team last Saturday. They should have won. There was a really bad call at the end of the game, the pass interference non-call, which should have gone their way. And they were so much fun to watch. So well coached. They did they were fun. Yeah. They're an entertaining team, and they deserve a lot of attention this year.
What have the Seahawks got this week?
They have New Orleans at home.
There's a win.
So I hope so. I mean, they seemed to right the ship last week.
Pretty
lot
good
with
in Pittsburgh, no doubt.
The offense seems to be starting to gel and come together a little bit. Jalen Sundell went out with cramps at the end of the game, but I think that offensive line is starting to work too. So that's
I saw
kind of
Gray
fun.
face plant another guy. So
he has so many pancakes he can open an IHOP at this point. And he's only 2 weeks into the season. He's just been doing great.
Great stuff as always, bud. Thanks for coming by. Drew Trafton joins us each and every Wednesday at 9:20. We'll break. We come back. We get you ready for the 9-man game of the year so far. Hankinson and Lamore, head coach of the Pirates, Jason Monilaws, will join us We come back on a Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mike right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wednesday morning show off and rolling. Getting ready for another football weekend on tap. Got some big ones coming, including two powers in southeastern North Dakota set to meet on Friday night. North Dakota 9-man football. Unbeaten Hankinson will take on unbeaten Lemoore Litchfield Marion. Those two, there's nothing need to be said when they get ready to be played, especially when they take on some unbeaten records. It's great to have one of our friends of the show, Hankinson head football coach Jason Monilaws, joins us here to get us ready for the game on Friday. He's going to hate me for asking off the top because big news, he picked up his 100th career win on Friday night. First off, congratulations. That's awesome. Tell me about win number 1. What do you remember about the first win?
Oh, Lord. That was 20 years ago. We would have been 11 man. And we would have been in a co-op with Fairmont Campbell Tinta. And I don't remember who we played, but I know we won the first game because we had a very good team. I think it was Castleton.
Is that right?
I feel like we were up at Central Cass. And we played them our first year and then our second year because of the alignment. And so I can brag like I'm 2-0 in my alma mater. I don't know if that means anything, but I guess it does to me somewhat. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the first game was at Castleton.
Wow. How special was this to get it? I know you had posted on social media your son had put up the number of wins on your class door. To get 100 is a special deal.
Well, okay, I'm dumb. Here's the whole story behind that door. I came up to the school. I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday before we went up to Enderlin. And I looked at my door and I said, well, that's neat. I wonder who did that. And I looked at the number 98. Well, that's a weird number. Okay. It didn't dawn on me. So then my son was coming down the steps and I saw him and he came up to me and said, Dad, you like the door? And I said, yeah, it's pretty neat, but why the number 98? He said, well, that's how many wins you have. And I'm like, you could tell me where my focus was on the game, not on the number. So I felt a little dumb about that. But no, Dom, it was just so nice. And the reason why my parents and my one brother couldn't make it. He was in Boston, but my other brothers and their wives and stuff came down, and I didn't know they were going to come down. My dad's 90 and he doesn't get around very well anymore, and so my brother Kent and his wife brought him down to the game. And
that's awesome.
We were warming up, and there's probably 8 minutes left in warm-ups, and I just happened to look over to the side there and go, what the heck, my parents are here. So I went over there and visited with them a little bit and stuff, and so yeah, it was extra special because they were there, and we had good conversation after the game and stuff.
I was going to say, did you take a minute afterwards? Because I know you got to worry about the football game, but did you take some time to soak it in after the game was done?
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of former players there that came up and congratulated
That's
me.
Awesome.
The team gave me a signed helmet and a signed football. They also told me to keep the game ball, and shook a lot of hands, hugged a lot of people, and then I visited with my family for 5-10 minutes, and I said, well, you guys should probably get going because you got a 90-mile drive to get home and stuff. And it really didn't dawn on me the magnitude of getting 100 wins until later in the weekend. It really, I kind of lost track of where we were at until I looked at the gridiron when it came out, and I was like, holy smokes, I got 96 wins, and geez, it'd be a big deal this year. And to coach that long and to get those wins, especially down here,
yep,
where we don't have a lot of kids to draw from, makes it pretty special.
And it was a crazy game too, 68-46. I mean, that's a good North Dakota 9-man football game you had on Friday night.
Well, it was almost like a basketball game. We jumped up on them, right away. We were up 32-6 at half, or at the first quarter, and the second quarter the things kind of started unraveling. We got to a point where the kids got pretty complacent, because we scored so quick. And the teenage mind, man, you want to be a millionaire. I think I've said this before. Figure that out, because boy, their brains are everywhere all the time. They're thinking about their girlfriend. They're thinking about the snap count. They're thinking about what are we going to be eating, and whatever is going on in their brains, rather than just, we need to finish this game, because we wanted it to be over at halftime, is what we wanted, and it surely didn't happen. Second quarter, I think it was about the 8-minute mark, stuff just started going wrong. And then kids started cramping a little bit, and we got into halftime, and we talked about the things that we're doing wrong, and our focus was off, our energy was down, all these things. And Northwood had gotten a lot of energy out of this deal.
Yeah.
A lot of juice, we like to say, a lot of juice going into halftime. And we talked about how important the third quarter is in football. And boy, we laid an egg. I mean, it was not good. And we ended up with 5 starters at one point were cramping.
Oh, boy.
Four of them for most of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. Ray was out till like the last 3 minutes of the game. He couldn't do anything. His forearms are cramping, his calves are cramping, everything was cramping on him. And it was, there was a lot of grit in those younger kids when we put them in, and some of them really, really stepped up. And we saw some great things out of a couple of these boys that we feel pretty confident.
Tell me about your quarterback and Rayshawn Earl. We were visiting off air. You've coached him now for 4 years. He's been your quarterback for 3. What does that kind of confidence you have, or just maybe even unspoken that you don't need to because he's been with you for so long?
Ray is a student of anything he does. I don't care if it's in the classroom, with math, science, whatever it is. With sports, he's so gifted. God gave him some things that people wish they had as far as talent goes. And I'm going to stand by this. I think he is in the top 3 talent in this state.
Oof.
Period. Any level of football, this kid is going to start at 3A, 2A, whatever you want to call it. He's going to start. There's no way he's not going to start. And his knowledge of football has gotten better every year. He grew a lot last year, and now with Hayden as the OC and what he's doing with checking in when they're in zone or not in zone, checking down, just slowing down the count if he notices a blitz is coming, and resetting everything and things like that, calling out the blitz and so forth. So he has grown quite a bit just in these 4 games, from where he was done last year to now. And a lot of that goes to Hayden, because he's really been working good with Ray.
All right, it's Lamore week. I don't need to say anything more than that. You saw him twice last year. Are they still as loaded as we expect Lamore to be?
Yeah. There's no doubt. This is one thing we did this year as 9-man coaches. We talked about this for years, and we finally got it set up. We have a 9-man pool now, so all the teams kind of are in the pool here, and so you can kind of watch the other teams. So let's say what West Hope wants to watch and see what we're doing down here in Hankinson, which is great. I mean, it's really good. Yep. So you can see the talent around the state. And when you look at what Lamore is doing, it's power football. I absolutely love power football. If I had the kids, that's what we would do.
Yeah.
And field is just in a level that is not even high school level. He would start at Valley City State, I would think, or Mayville State, or any of these small colleges right now, because he's so fast and so big and strong. And man, all he needs is just a sliver, and good Lord, he's gone. And then Preston
Arndt, yeah.
Wow.
Yep, I know.
From last year to this year, holy moly. He's an absolute beast. And I don't know if we're going to be able to block him or not, to be honest. We're going to try. We're going to do different things. but holy cow, wow, has he grown into a good football player.
I know you love your own field. What is it about playing at Lemoore? It's a special, that's, part of southeastern North Dakota fields. Where's that one rank for you down there?
Well, if I was to pick the one field that we could play on the most, I would pick Hope.
Okay.
God, I love that field. It's got a little bit of a bowl there. The only thing I don't like about it is the crow's nest is about 2 feet from the out of bounds line, but what a beautiful field. And yeah, Lemoore is probably right behind them. The grass is just so nice. I mean, they do such a good job out there with that baseball diamond.
Before we go, I was watching the Monday Night Football game. We showed it the other day or yesterday on the show with Tampa playing against Houston. Your guys out there, he was looking for guys to block on a touchdown. And then later in the game, I could see him. He's signaling calls, like he's pointing he's a big deal. I already knew he's a big deal. It's like he's becoming even a bigger deal down there.
Well, I suppose he's a little bit more comfortable now. He's got a couple years of experience, and he's kind of the, I don't want to call him the old man, but with the injuries they have on the old line,
it's true.
He's up there and he's doing the center's job. It seems like he's saying, hey, we got to get this guy here, and you got him, and this and that, and so forth, and whatnot. And it's great to see that he's taking that leadership role.
That's the one position I never get to see him play. It wasn't until he got to the Senior Bowl I saw him playing center. I'm like, my gosh, that would be scary if he's the snapping the ball.
Well, absolutely.
Man, oh man. It's great to catch up. Thanks so much for doing this. Congratulations on getting 100. It was fun to see that. And good luck Friday night with LLM, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dom.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Jason Monilaws, Hankinson head football coach, joining us this morning. That is one of the games we'll be featuring on Friday night. Hankinson and Lemoore Litchfield Marion, each of them unbeaten so far. They played twice last year. Monilaws doesn't even remind him that. 60-16, 76-13. Of course, that LLM team made it all the way to the Dakota Bowl and lost to New Rockford Cheyenne. Should be a dynamite matchup, and we'll keep our eyes fixed on that. One of our favorite guests we have on to talk high school ball, and congrats to him on getting 100. That's awfully, awfully impressive. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here. We'll wrap up our first hour. Chris Heise joining us in hour two, but a really big weekend for him and his family. Hot Mike rolls on a busy Wednesday. We're back after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Don't forget Bison Media Zone coming up in a half hour's time. Kyle forced me to do this, to do a deep dive on his guy Jake Browning, who was a Viking for 3 years, 2019 to 2021. Let's see. He was waived by the Vikes August of 2021 during their final roster cuts. Signed to the Bengals the following week. Was beat out by Brandon Allen to be the backup to Joe Burrow there. Then got in 23 when Burrow got hurt again late in the year. On December the 16th, December 16th, 2023, Browning led a 14-point comeback that included 2 fourth-quarter touchdown passes to win 27-24 in overtime against the Vikings, having been down 17-3 entering the fourth. With this win, he became the first Bengals quarterback since Boomer Esiason to win 3 of his first 4 starts. Browning re-signed with the Bengals on a 2-year deal on April 23rd of 2024. So he's in the back end of a 2-year deal with Cincinnati. The best part about this and all the Viking connections we have going, the Bengals. Did you see who they signed as their backup yesterday for this game? Brett Rippon. Why can't the Vikings get quarterbacks like him? So you've got it all set up here. Bengals revenge tour coming to U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday afternoon. In a game suddenly that seems more pressing than not for Minnesota to try and get into the win column if they can get it. I had one email come in late yesterday. Appreciate this from a fan that listens to the show. We were talking about our my Robert Redford favorite movies after the legendary actor passed away yesterday. He said to me, Dom, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yep. The Sting. I forgot that one. That's tremendous. and All the President's Men, which are 3 dynamite ones there. I went back and I started the first half of The Natural last night before I fell asleep, which is just tremendous. If you've not seen it, Redford looks the part, honestly, of a baseball player. There are too many sports movies where you can clearly tell that the lead actor or whatever is never, like, in All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise, he's never touched a football in his life. You can see that. Or if you ever watch War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise and he's playing catch with his son, he's never thrown a baseball in his life. Like, you can tell. That's not the case with Redford in The Natural. He looks the part of a great left-handed. He's got a tremendous left-handed swing. Watching it again yesterday when Wilford Brimley's character, who's the manager of the team, lets him finally take batting practice. And there's no editing there. There's no CGI. The movie was made in 1982, 81. It's fantastic. It looks great. And I'm excited to watch. I know how it ends. I know it's different than the book, and I can't wait to watch the rest of it probably later today. Dynamite. Let's do one more here before we are overdue for a break. Dom, what do we make of South Dakota State's performance this past week? Talked a little bit about this on Monday. The Jackrabbits, with their win, I don't know if uninspired is not the right word. I would say it was very matter of fact, maybe is the best way to describe their victory over Drake. I don't know if going through the motions is the best way. It was not as impressive as I thought it could have been. And you can give all the credit in the world you can give to Drake. Drake's a non-scholarship team. The Jackrabbits need to beat him by 50, and they didn't. Now they've got a bye week before they play Mercyhurst out of that, which, again, we're not going to know anything about South Dakota State until we get to early October, but they're better than what many people thought. I was not ready to throw dirt on them. I was not in that camp. And especially now how the hierarchy of FCS football has shook out through the first few weeks, they might be right there with the Bison when we get to November and Selection Sunday. We'll see. All right, we'll break. We come back. Really neat story to share on what's going on. Even with the Bison not playing, there's going to be plenty of Bison celebrating this weekend. We'll tell that story when Hour 2 of Hot Mike begins on this Hump Day Wednesday. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on this Wednesday morning. Bison Media Zone coming up in about a half hour. Looking forward to that. So our guy Sam Getzinger will join me in studio. That's coming up in about a half hour's time. Well, we talked about it, I believe, yesterday. We found out Logan Kopp had been named to the All-State AFCA Good Works team, which goes to players that spend extraordinary amount of time in the community for their community service. Kopp was another on the long list of Bison that have won that award or been named to that team. He'll get to go to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, schedule pending. The Sugar Bowl is on New Year's Day. Bison may be busy around that time. We'll see. But joins the long list of guys that have been up for that. He also joins another Bison fraternity this weekend, that of North Dakota State football players that have gotten married during the season. You remember that this happened a couple years ago. Cole Wisniewski did this. The year before that, James Kaiser did this. And now he's getting married this weekend. And our next guest is the father of the bride. You will know him, I'm sure, from any basketball game over the last 20 years of officiating or any other sporting events. Chris Heise joins us. His daughter Mariah is marrying Logan this weekend. How's it going? It's great to see you. I can't even imagine the emotions. It's coming.
Yeah, it's getting real. It's really, it's coming. It's Saturday is going to come sooner than you think. It was all exciting for the first Bison football game. Then it was all exciting for the first Bison, Nashville trip. That was exciting. And then it's all exciting for the first home game. And now it's here. So
I want to talk about that in a second. People know your face all the time. They say, I'm just curious, officiating these days, what is the biggest challenge of that nowadays?
Trying to get the youth. It's a dying breed. If you look at the average age of us out there, we're probably in the mid-50s. Mm-hmm. but we're trying to get the younger one. And, everybody's the best officials is in the stands. And the communication with the coaches and the development of years past, communicating with the coaches and communicating with the players, it's kind of grown onto me, and I love it.
When you got started as a young official, how short was the fuse then compared to where you are now?
You could ask Perry Piatz, that the good old District 2 at the Fargo Civics. I think I was Mr. T. I didn't let that. I think I implemented the T pretty good there. Perry and I got along, but as a young official, I had to set the boundaries. Like, hey, I'm doing my best I can, but no, Perry, we're good friends, and Perry was, those coaches are good. The District 2, I actually ran for 14 years, and that was such a fun atmosphere. You had Steve Cardinal with Fargo Grove, Perry Piatz with Kindred, Don Nash, who I run into him at Costco all the time, and Gary Garman, with Northern Cass. Just some classy coaches.
When did you get a sense, get your feet underneath you in terms of officiating? Like, okay, this is how I'm going to officiate, and the coaches knew how you were going to officiate a game. How long did that take in your mind?
Oh gosh, a good friend of mine, Greg Gruters and Daryl Olson. When I graduated from high school, they kind of reached out to me and they brought me along. And then I did their JV games. I drove on, went out to Tower City. I did, Enderlin, Lisbon. I did the JV game with them, and I sat in the stands and watched them ref the varsity. And then slowly the coaches got to know me, and I actually started doing more of the Class B stuff. And it just started, I wanted to get to the next level.
When you look now at how games are officiated, he's mentioned now trying to get more, and I see there's still a handful of younger refs out there. That's exciting. When you see that, do you feel like you've passed the torch? Like, okay, this is the next generation. Like, I was of that age, and now there's a younger wave coming that will be able to take over.
Yeah, I love to see the youth getting involved. It's a different breed to be a zebra. It's a different breed. But yeah, I love to see the youth getting involved. We hosted, a bunch of us older refs hosted a Great North basketball officiating camp, and we did it for 7 years straight and tried to implement the youth and give back in a way. And it was a great rewarding experience doing that.
All right, I'm going to test the memory banks here. Give me a game or an atmosphere you were in. Like this is teetering on it being bad. Like this is not a great spot to be in right now because the crowd is just crazy. Is there one that comes to mind?
Oh gosh, not so much that. I just remember one of the. Actually, that's the game that I met you. It was in the quarterfinal, the Class B boys tournament up in Grand Forks. Yep. And I think it was an off game, and I was visiting with you on the sideline. And but that championship game when you had Kretschmann.
Yeah.
And
yep.
They were down 3 points, and I was the trail official. He comes across the court, and it was the younger Kretschmann, and I'm thinking, holy smokes, the clock's going. Are you going to put the ball up? And all of a sudden, calmly, he just tosses it up. Boom, yep. We go into overtime. And that was awesome. Or when Dave Karlsrud came to me when it was 2-person and 3-person. 3-person, they were going to 3-person in Class A and 2-person still in Class B. And he asked me, hey, you've been selected for the Class B or the Class A. Which one would you like? And I said, Class B. You sure? You graduated from West Fargo. You're a Class A person. You're doing college. You know the 3-person mechanics. Class B is 2. And I said, no, Class B.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, final. And I said, final. And I tell you what, my first class B chant, that was awesome. The Bismarck, it just rocks. I mean, it's just a great atmosphere.
Do you like officiating college, or is high school more your jam?
I do like college, but high school is good to actually train or mentor these young high school coaches. Like, hey, it's going to be okay. You know, the sun will come up. I've used that line multiple times, but it's okay. Just breathe. Sometimes you get these coaches, you could just see they're so nervous. And I said, just breathe. It's going to be okay. And you got to calm them down. But no, college, over the years, now I've gotten to know the college coaches, and, you know, the hard ones, the really tough ones on us, they usually have the best teams too.
Yeah. Was there ever a call that you couldn't shake? Like, I don't know if I got that one right, that you took home with you? I'm sure there's probably thousands, but is there one that stayed with you for a few days?
That's a great question. Actually, every game, I've learned this from one of my mentors. I try to take back one or two calls every night, and we talk about that in post game. And I think about it, but no, every game there's one or two calls that you like, gosh, maybe we should have done it this way. But no, there's not. Well, there's probably many, but I guess I didn't. I wasn't prepared to think of one. Yeah, there's plenty. There's top 10 lists. I guess my top 10 list is the driving in the winter blizzards. Oh.
Was there one you either didn't make or nearly didn't make for a game?
Oh, there's multiple. There, Crookston, going up to University of Crookston one time, sat in the middle of the road. Just sat for about 45 minutes. It took us 3.5 hours to get home from Crookston. Or University of Morris, one time, my partner and I, Brad Sillison, and he was my partner. He rolled down the window and he was looking at the line, and we couldn't see the dash line, and we're sitting there. And,
that is scary. I've been there.
Yeah, some tough roads.
Morris is tough, even nice. When it's nice out, it's not an easy drive to get back from. And that's my last officiating question. I can actually talk about what's going on with you this weekend. But in terms of like rowdy environments, you walk in like, okay, this is a powder keg tonight. Like, we got to know that any calls, we're going to have to handle that. Is there one that comes to mind?
Oh gosh. Basketball. Well, you know what? Over the years, they all kind of blend together.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Doing it so long. Even the worst thing sometimes, that when you have games that are a blowout, you think that those are the most easiest games to officiate.
Yeah.
They're the hardest games to officiate. I'd rather officiate the 1-pointer or 2-pointer because they go a lot smoother. But no, there was never. I remember when I got into the NCC days. I do women's college basketball. So the NCC days, Gene Roebuck, Mitch Parker kind of warned me. And it was 2-person back in the hip slap area. And Mitch Parker picked me up, and Mitch is a great friend, mentor. I just got done doing a tour of military and got back ready for season. So it was my first game back and doing the NCC up there. And we had a good game up in the hip slap, and 2-person. And Mitch was saying, hey, Chris, watch out. Gene's going to be on you. And Mitch was just right. He was on. Oh, my goodness. And I didn't know what to say to him. I just was stone cold because he must be having a bad day. But he knew I was fresh meat.
That's good stuff. Good stuff this weekend. Tell me the first time your daughter Mariah brought home Logan, or we met. Can you give us that story and how this all came about?
Well, both Mariah and Logan are very involved in FCA, and they're very actively involved with their church. I guess it was about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, she was moving out from our house to she just graduated and she was moving into an apartment, and she was moving in with another roommate, and we're going up, and it was like 3 stories, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, we gotta move all this bed. And I said, you got any friends that are gonna come and help? Because I wasn't gonna doing couches and chairs down 3 flights of stairs. And she goes, oh yeah, I got some Bison football players coming. And it was Dylan Taves, Logan Kopp, and there was a trainer. And I think, rescue. And that film. And then a couple months later, she shot me a text. You know those guys that helped me move? And I'm dating one of them. Oh, great. And then it just slowly, started very slowly, but they're very, I'm very humbled to have Logan join our family, because Logan's family is such very wonderful people.
I know we chatted briefly before the game down in Nashville, and I was talking to you now it's getting real. Describe you mentioned off the top here, now the lead up at Saturday. What's it like now as dad? Like here it comes. It's coming on Saturday.
Well, we were just last Sunday morning, my wife and I were sitting beside Mariah and Logan, and then Logan's parents. After the game, we went out for supper, and then we were doing a hit list of, okay, what do we have left to do for the wedding? And then we met them. Everyone met at church, and we're sitting at church. And during one of the songs, I look over at my wife and I said, I think the next time I'm going to have to be standing, we'll be walking Mariah down. And it kind of hit me like my daughter is very independent and she's very faithful with her faith. And it'll be tough to lose her, because I don't know what the future will hold for both of them. They're very professional. She's a 3rd grade teacher at Independence Elementary. She loves teaching. She loves mentoring the youth. And Logan, his career, we'll see how far this takes.
So you mentioned that on Sunday. Will you be emotional? You think you're going to tear up on Saturday?
Well,
what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of tearing right now. I don't know. I hope so. My wife just reminded me yesterday, you got to be strong, Chris, because if not, then she's going to blubber. And I don't know. It's tough. It's kind of emotionally too, because, Mariah, those two, Logan and Mariah, are a great couple. They have such surrounding. You can see the amazing support group that they have from their church and their network of friends. They're just very, very good.
Now, as father of the bride, I'm worried here for you, because you got to feed about 20 to 30 Bison football players that are coming to this thing, I heard, on Saturday night.
You know what? I've been, ever since they started planning this, whatever Mariah wants and they plan, we just, okay, it's okay. They started planning in the back seat. We went to a Minnesota Twins game this summer. Logan and Mariah and my wife, we drove down the cities, and they started doing their seating chart and doing all this, and they just quietly started planning. So they've been planning this for a while.
That's fantastic. You maybe be able to speak to this better than anybody about what Logan has done off the field. You see that. He was named to the AFCA, the Good Works team, yesterday. Chris, can you describe that, what he's done? We see what he does on Saturdays, but what's he doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? That's he got this award.
It's amazing, this individual of Logan. I asked him, I'm the president of the Red River Valley Fair Board, and long story short, last spring we had our awards banquet, and I was going to do the invocation, and I'm thinking, it was last minute. I got busy at work. So I asked my daughter, hey, you two, Logan would like to do the invocation? Yeah. He just went off the cuff, and he did it good. So he speaks at West Fargo. We had him speak at a West Fargo Exchange Club, talked about the Bison, him and Scott Bach. They came out and they talked about what they do as a Bison player. So he's very eager to explain to people, what his lifestyle is. And being his faith, I know he does Bible study. I know he does a church group. Him and Mariah, they've been doing counseling together, marriage counseling with the pastor, Jake. Then he's kind of like, if you see the prayer circle, Logan's usually the one in the middle.
Yeah. That's good stuff. We got to go here. I really appreciate you doing this. I know you're a busy man. Congratulations. Enjoy every minute of this weekend. I look forward to seeing you soon, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes. Chris Heise joining us, his daughter Mariah, and Logan Kopp getting married this weekend. Anytime you see Chris on a basketball floor, too. Good man to chat with, and we appreciate his time. All right, we'll break. We come back. We'll wrap things up. We got the Bison Media Zone coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll get you ready for a busy Sports Wednesday. Back to wrap it up after this. All right, wrapping things up here because we got the Bison Media Zone coming up here in about a half hour, or less than that, about 5 minutes. Get us ready for the final half hour of our show on this Wednesday. Let's get a couple updates here for our Eliminator participants. Just a heads up here, out of Washington, Marcus Mariota will speak to the media today at Commanders Park, not Jaden Daniels. Evidently, he tweaked his knee in the Thursday night game against Green Bay. Commanders have the Raiders. I don't know if that's a hot pick for some of our Eliminator participants. Some have already used Washington, but just a heads up on that. Also, this is from Jess Myers, friend of the show, who covers the Minnesota Wild for the St. Paul Pioneer Press. Speaking to a former NHL team executive, I was told that Kirill Kaprizov's agent is known as one of the toughest player reps in hockey. And I was reminded the player, not the Minnesota Wild, is holding the cards in this situation. Kaprizov will likely get what he wants. That's what we don't know. What does he want? Evidently, he doesn't want 8 years at 126, which would be the highest NHL player contract ever. That's the great unknown on this. Wild open camp tomorrow. I would imagine he's going to have to speak to the media. That will be interesting how that goes. We'll see. Also, tonight we mentioned we're going to get to what to watch here in a second. Brianna Stewart has told reporters she plans to play in Game 2 of New York's playoff series tonight against the Mercury. She revealed she's dealing with a sprained MCL that she sustained during the Liberty's Game 1 win on Sunday. That is not a pleasant injury, that she's going to have to go through that. That's not normally you got to sit for a couple weeks on that, but she's going to play tonight for Game 2. Liberty are trying to eliminate Phoenix. They won the first game there. I've just got this word as well because we're getting ready next week, a week from Friday. The Ryder Cup gets going at Bethpage Black. Easy for me to say. Bethpage Black. I've been there, so I better say it right. That's the golf course with the warning sign. They're going to get the Women's PGA Championship in 2028, the PGA in 2033. The PGA Championship also returned to Oak Hills in 2035, which is great. That's right up the road from where I live, Rochester, New York. I've been to that golf. You talk about hard golf courses. There's a couple right there. So I believe we're going to have our insider look at Bethpage Black maybe as early as tomorrow. The Bison golf team played out there last year and got a front row seat to see how difficult it is. Speaking of which, shout out to them. They won their second straight golf tournament yesterday down in Creighton. So nice job by Dr. Ekron Miller, new coach of the Bison golf team. They've won their first 2 starts so far this fall. All right, before we get out of here, let's do some what to watch. What to watch is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Okay, Yankees Twins in the rubber game tonight. I don't know if we'll have as much theatrics as we had yesterday. That's at 6:30 on Twins TV. Game number 2, Lynx and the Valkyries, 9 o'clock tonight. Now, the game is not in Sacramento or in San Francisco. They moved this game to San Jose because there's a tennis tournament going on in San Fran. So they got to play at the home of the San Jose Sharks. That's tonight, 9 o'clock on ESPN. As we mentioned, Mercury and the Liberty, Game 2 tonight, 7 o'clock on ESPN from Brooklyn. Liberty lead that series 1-0 to none. So if they win, they move on. Same for the Lynx. If they win, they move on to the semifinals, and we'll recap that coming up on the show tomorrow. All right, we got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Drew Trafton, to Jason Monilaws, and to Chris Heise. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. The Bison Media Zone, minutes away with our guy Sam Getzinger to get us the update on Bison football through the first 3 weeks. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.